Welcome into BamaCentral's instant analysis after Alabama's 34-20 win over Tennessee. Guys, it was a crazy second half. At halftime, optimism I don't think was very high in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it ended up being one of the best crowds in here in years. Austin, what were your thoughts on what Alabama was able to do in the second half tonight?
Yeah, it was just man, it really was a tale of two halves, and people laugh about that because of obviously the Avery Johnson connection. But I mean, just completely different effort. And there was a lot of people talking about, is that the best half of Bama football we've seen this year? It has to be. It has to be. I mean, a really quality opponent who brought their A game today. Maybe not in the second half, but especially to start the game, and then the way the way that Alabama played the second half was unbelievable. Um, I mean, something had to be said in the locker room. Obviously, whenever we, as the media, ask them after the game, they don't want to talk about it a lot. But I mean, there had to be some kind of fire lit under them because they came out a completely different team and a team that looks destined to win the West and maybe do more things. So another good performance by the defense. They struggled a little bit early on, and Saban said they struggled a little bit with the quarterback running game, but they got everything put together in the second half. I think Tennessee had just a little bit over 100 total yards in the second half, so and 0 points. So the cigars were lit after the game, and Alabama got a big win.
Yeah, and then Blake, after that second half, maybe the first half people were thinking this Alabama team is done for, but look, Alabama's going into the bye with a 7-1 record, undefeated in SEC play. After what you saw in the second half, what do you think is kind of the ceiling for this team moving forward?
I mean, we saw in the second half, Alabama beat a good Tennessee team 27-0 in the second half. And that was just honestly a totally dominant effort from a defensive standpoint. The offense started to click and they were able to find success. And so I think that we just saw in the last 30 minutes of that game is kind of the ceiling that we can see Alabama play at if we can get them, we can see them play like that at a consistent level. Then, like Austin said, there's no telling like how far this team can go. Obviously, the defense is going to need to play at a high level when Alabama plays LSU in a couple weeks, one of the best offenses in the country. But then you look forward, and if Alabama gets to Atlanta, Georgia has looked human at times. They haven't looked like the same dominant team that they've looked at like the past couple years when they've won national championships, and now they're dealing with an injury to Brock Bowers, one of the best players in the country. You look at other games around the country, I think right now Florida State's struggling with Duke. Texas has a loss. Oklahoma struggled with UCF today. Like, there are all these teams that are really good, but none of them really seem elite and that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. And so if Alabama plays the way that, one, we know they have the talent for, and two, just the way that they just executed in the second half, the sky really is the limit, and people haven't really talked about that because of the loss that they took so early and how they're still outside of the top 10. But, like, if this team keeps playing like that, there is still the possibility of them winning the SEC, making the playoff, or even winning a national championship.
For sure. First half tonight, ugly. Second half, pretty. Saban talked about second half. Offense was pretty good. Defense was really good. And I think we've seen that from this defense all year. And the mantra goes, defense wins championships. So not to get too ahead of ourselves, but we'll see what this Alabama team can do moving forward. Much needed bye coming up with the Crimson Tide, but we'll be back for another huge SEC game in 2 weeks against LSU. But that will wrap up tonight's instant analysis. Thank you so much for watching and following all of our coverage.